Yeah, yeah.
Grateful for it though.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So a lot of traders, they like to talk about their wins, right? So I win this, I win that. Like my Pinot's this, and now I can go buy this or I can go buy that, right? And at the end of the day, and what I've seen is it doesn't matter, right? So these things are not going to make you any better of a person. They're not going to define who you are, right? So in my mind, it's like I'm doing this. I want to achieve these goals so that I can provide for my family, so I can help out with friends, so that I can do these other business ideas that I have. But at the end of the day, man, like it's not going to change who I am, right? At the core of who I am as a person, right? And so a lot of people that are traders, that's all they talk about. They talk about money all the time, man. And so like, let's talk about the other side of things, like the dark, raw side of things that nobody's really talking about, that nobody's like diving into. So kind of let's share some of your stories and I'll share some of mine.
I mean, from my experience, it's like it's such a heavy roller coaster ride because you can be up an insane amount of money, right? And you know at the like right at the corner there's something lurking, and so you know you're gonna have some losses along the way, but you expect these losses to come. Like you expect these losses to arrive, and you expect these losses to hit your account because it's the natural progression of an account. But yet, still, when those losses hit, it feels heavy on you.
Yeah.
It feels heavy on you, and you know these losses are going to occur, and then they keep occurring. And even though you see your equity graph, just gradually going up, each downtick on that equity graph is it stays in your head. Like when you go to sleep, you just have a position running and you're on a loss, even though you had like let's say $10,000 in profit and you're just down like maybe 3 or maybe 4, right?
Yeah.
That's 3 or 4 carries a heavy weight on you for some reason, right? And I was like, I can offer an example. I opened up an account, let's say sometime between around August 2019, right? And I funded it with $5,000.
Yep.
Right. So I was trading currencies.
Yep.
I still am. And I had this account, and I was heavy levered on the account. So I would take decisions that I should have not taken in terms of my account balance. But I already knew what I was doing, and I knew how basically my equity graph would somewhat move. So I knew I had like a slight little room to screw up, but if I didn't, I would have made it out alive. And indeed, I did. I was able to get that account from August to December. I had it almost up to about 16,000, and I started to pay myself forward. I took a trip with my cousin and my family members. I went to Colorado skiing. I went snowboarding with my friends, and I went then to the Dominican Republic to visit my family. And as soon as I got back, right, I stayed out flat. I stayed out flat for like 2 or 3 months, and then that's when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, like market conditions were wild, and I was still flat, if not losing a bit. Yeah. And then there was a time where I was on a downward spiral somewhat, and I recovered from it, and I decided in one move, it's just one mistake, in one move, I decided to put like 3 or 4 times the amount I would normally put on a trade. Yeah. Which ended up backfiring because then I took out the stop loss for a split second because I didn't want to get stopped out by spreads during 5 o'clock time. Yep. And the position just sunk in my face. I had to close out, and at that point it was like I already blew up my account.
What did you feel like? I mean, everybody says blowing up an account, right? And
dude, like you're in a bottomless pit. It's like, how do you pull yourself back together after all that work you put into the account, and then boom, it's all gone in your face. That's it, game over. Like essentially, your job as a trader is to have enough chips to keep playing the game. You burn out all your chips, you're out of the game.
Exactly.
And then when you're out of the game, you're like, okay, so now I have to get back in the game to make all the money that I lost in the game, and then that just keeps stacking up, and then stacking up, and then stacking up. I just trade over and over and over and over again, and it just stays in your head. And it's I don't know, I don't know, to be honest, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for me as a person in kind of my trading career, and we're fresh in the game, so to say that we're advanced on any level is probably not true.
No.
I mean, we know enough to hang around, and we know enough to have conversations, and we're always looking to learn. And that's kind of the beauty of trading, is everybody's looking to learn. I mean,
Right.
as soon as you close your mind and think you're better than the market's going to slap you in the face, right?
The market has a very unique way of humbling you.
I mean, a unique way to say the least, for sure. But for me, it's like I go on these things where I make a lot of money and lose a lot of money. Make a lot of money, lose a lot of money, right? And so for me, coming down here, that was like my goal. My goal was consistency this year, right? So I know I can make a lot of money, and then it's like, how do I keep the money? How do I keep the money, right? So I came down here, same trajectory as normal, where it was, came out hot, made a lot of money, right? Tripled the account, which is, it was dope. Like, that was exactly what I wanted to have happen. We all want that to happen, right? And COVID hit, of course. I was a little over levered, and I lost a big chunk. I was quick enough to turn it around, switch positions, switch the bias, and made it all back. So then I was green. I was still green. Account was doing great, right? That was it. And then, like, I've been waiting, and I've had this bias in my head, and I've been thinking about it every single year. Then I'm like, when a market crashes, I'm gonna go on hard, and I'm gonna go. And so, inevitably, that bias is what destroyed me this time, because I was 2 days early. So I was buying the market bottom at March 19th. We bottomed March 22nd, Sunday night, 2174 ES. Why do I remember that?
Why?
Because that is one of the most, like as a trader, the trauma that you feel when you take some of these losses, they're erasable from your mind. Like, you cannot get these things out of your mind, and it's some of the most traumatic things that you go through. So that was the bottom, and I nailed it, but I was 2 days too early. So one of the problems I had was I was too big, right? And I knew I was too big without the bankroll to hedge off exposure. Right. So this was when TVIX was trading up, VIX and volatility was trading up, and I was in out of the money calls, because I'm like, listen, some of the levels, I want to get paid on this move back up, because that was just the idea. That was the idea, and I thought the world was wrong, and I'm just gonna bet against the world.
Right.
And I'm like, if I'm betting against the world, I better get paid to get better. To bet against the world, right? And so I'm seeing this all transpire, and I'm like, how do I hedge against volatility? Because volatility is gonna come in, and some of these out of the money are just gonna constrict, right? These out of the monies are gonna constrict, and then I got smoked. Some of these out of the monies went 88 bid to 9 bid in 3 days, and ES didn't even move. We're just trading in this range, and the volatility contraction smoked that position. And that was kind of, for me, that was the beginning of the end, because it was just the matter of fact mindset that threw me off. That it was like, all right, I took half the loss. So I had, what did I have? I had my full size, and then I took a loss for half the size at the lows, basically. And this is how it always happens, right? People get pushed out, people get margin calls. That's what creates lows, that's what creates highs. And unfortunately, I was a casualty of that event. And for me, that was just, mentally, I couldn't get back over it. And it was just slowly it was just a ticking time bomb. So I continued to overhedge because of the fear that I was wrong, right? I didn't even let my trade play out, because I was too afraid of, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if I blow this account up? What if I blow this account up? And I was so afraid of failure, that ironically, that's what I was given, right? And so for me, it was one of the bottoms of my life, right? Not my professional career, not my life. I mean, money's money. It comes and it goes, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to portray, is money is the money. It'll come and it'll go. But who are you on the other side? And what I learned from this event was I went through, and I'm still going through, some emotional pain from it, right? So I'll wake up. I find myself waking up in the middle of the night, 3 or 4 in the morning, just panicking, because I'm like, dude, you messed it up again. How many times are you gonna mess it up? You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of traders, they feel like that. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like I want to be somewhere, and because I want it so bad, that's what's holding me back, and that's what's holding a lot of us back, because we want something so bad that sometimes we push too hard instead of,